Guys, Sventhoon here. I'm sorry for this crappy video filmed on my phone this week, since I had trouble with my recording program. So I had to solve it in some way, and I still have to put out a battle for you, so that's why I have this phone recording. Okay, so the first week of the PBAL, I went up against Tone and the Miami Malamarlins. The link to his channel will be in the description. And I really suggest you watch his side of the battle rather than mine, because this is going to be a pretty crappy video as I'm filming on the phone, and it's going to be shaky, and I really don't think it's going to be good quality at all. So go to his channel, subscribe, leave a like, and comment. Okay, so for week 1 I brought a team of Aridos, which was here mainly for webs to stop a potential Tapu Koko and Alolan Raichu from really sweeping my team. I had a Choice Scarf Darmanitan, which just hits his whole team almost. Like Swampert is his best switch in on his roster, and it still gets like 3-hit KO'd by Flare Blitz, so it's super strong mon. It's Choice Scarf to outpace everything except the Alolan Raichu. I have a bulky Wish Patching Jolteon with leftovers, and I have an Assault Vest Gudra, a Standard Mega Pidgeot, and a Rocky MC Stone Edge Terrakion. So let's jump into the battle. Oh, and as you can see, Tone is bringing his Nidoqueen, Tapu Koko, Necrozma, Swampert, Buzzwole, and Alolan Raichu. So right out of the gate, I really want to get up webs. That's my #1 priority, since I see that he doesn't have any ways of removing hazards other than on his Koko. And I feel like I can pressure the Koko enough to punish a potential defogging Koko. So I lead off with Ariados, as you can see here. Soon. Sorry for the bad focus. And he leads out with his Nidoqueen. Here, turn 1, I go for Sticky Webs as he reveals Taunt. This is he built this for exactly this lead matchups to avoid me from getting up the webs. So he taunts, I can't stick web. Fortunately for me, I packed a Stomping Tantrum, which will double in power since my last move failed. And turn 2, my most valuable player, my Ariados, KOs the Nidoqueen without it getting up either rocks or toxic spikes. In comes Necrozma. Here I think it would have been better for me to just let the Ariados go, but I switch into my Assault Vest Gudra, and as he goes for Photon Gazer. And it does a big chunk, and this is actually short specs damage, so I think it's short specs, but it will turn out later that it isn't. I make a misplay here in my opinion, and stay in on another one, and let my Gudra take even more damage, and goes for Earthquake, which does pitiful damage. Pitiful. Here I come back in my head and just, why didn't I sack off Ariados from the beginning, and decide to sack it off as it's outsped by everything on his team and won't have the chance to set up webs or toxic spikes anytime soon. So Necrozma kills my Ariados, and I go into my, because this Necrozma is a big threat to me, so I go out into my Terrakion and goes for Sea Stone Edge, thinking it will kill it if it's no bulk and like max speed, max special attack short specs, which I'm thinking it is until this point. I go for my Sea Stone Edge, and as you can see, apparently this was a roll when we talked after the game. I barely missed the KO on the Necrozma, and he goes for Photon Geyser, and I think he's gonna kill me, but it turns out he was physical Necrozma all along, which lets my Terrakion hang on with a Slither and finish the Necrozma off with a nice Earthquake. But this Terrakion is easily revenged by Coco, which you will see coming here, which will set up the electric terrain for the electric type moves and also doubling the speed of Alolan Raichu. Here he reveals to be a physical set of Coco with Brave Bird and killing off my Terrakion with the Brave Bird. Here I go into my Darmanitan, really showing that I'm a Scarfed Darmanitan, as otherwise no one would bring it in on the Tapu Koko. I predict him switching, so I'm U-turning for momentum. When then Swampert gets in, I do a little bit of ship. I get to switch in my Goodra, which packs Power Whip, but that might be super obvious as I switched fairly fast, and he reveals the Protect to Scap for the Power Whip. And here I expect him to switch, I think, and switches myself. Yeah, I expect his switch into Buzzwole, so I switch into Mega Pidgeot, and there you have it. Mega Pidgeot is in versus the Buzzwole. This is the freest of Hurricanes, since his team has 2 Hurricane resistances in both the electric types, the Koko and the Raichu, but they both take super much damage. So this Hurricane finishes off the Buzzwole, and I feel like I'm in pretty good control of this game. The electric terrain unfortunately runs out. Here he goes into Swampert, and I go for Hurricane, and actually grabs the Confusion, and he goes for his rocks here, and I thought that this was a misplay, but in hindsight he's just setting up for his late game, as he here tries to go for a Protect and hits himself in Confusion, while I'm finishing it off with Hurricane. In hindsight, I probably should have defogged here, but decided against it. And here the Koko comes in, setting up the terrain. So now he only has the Koko and the Alolan Raichu left. I, of course, switch out into my Jolteon, which is built to take care of this Koko, as he wild charges into my Jolteon. Here I am. I know that if I get a Wish Pass into my Goodra, I win the game. So I set up the Wish to be able to, Wish Pass into the Goodra. And here I recover a little bit of health from leftovers, and I 100% of the time live any hit from a timid Life Orb Raichu, so I decide to Volt Switch, but this turns out to be a modest one, and it's a 70-30 roll in my favor on the Psyshock, and unfortunately I lose the roll, and therefore my Jolteon goes down, the Goodra doesn't get that Wish, Raichu finishes off Goodra with Psyshock, takes a little bit more of recoil from the Life Orb. I switched in my Mega Pidgeot to just sack it, because this is the last turn of electric terrain, and goes down to my last Pokemon, my Choice Scarf Darmanitan, and basically I'm praying for him to make a misplay to just stay in with his Raichu here, and and not switch out. But of course he's a good player. Tone switches out into the Tapu Koko. I go for Fire Punch just in case their Thunderbolt is a roll or something like that, even though it isn't in the terrain. And I do not even kill the Coco, so had he stayed in, I would have still lost, because I wouldn't have KO'd the Coco. But Darmanitan gets a kill on the Coco, and then Alolan Raichu comes in and finishes me off with a nice Thunderbolt. And the rocks on Swampert was just to ensure his Thunderbolt KOing the Darmanitan. And it was a good game. Unfortunately, the Umbreons lose this one 1-0, but it was a good game to Tone. He played well. I think I played to my outs. He played very well to his out and his endgame plan of Alolan Raichu. I think would I have been able to Wish Pass into Gudra, we might have been able to claw this game back and maybe win it 1-0, 2-0 or something like that. But in the end, this is Pokemon, and sometimes you get rolls in your favor, sometimes you don't, sometimes you crit, sometimes you get crit, sometimes you get frozen, etc. RNG is a part of the game, and I'm not salty. I'm happy. On paper, I really didn't like my matchup, and to bring it down to a 1-0 is nice in my books. And yeah, next week I'm gonna try to have a more qualitative video out for you, and I'm gonna try to bounce back. We're playing the San Antonio Espers and Colin, and yeah, I'm sorry for the notifications on my phone. I'm sorry, this video is horrible. Yeah, but until then, yeah, have a good one. Don't forget to dislike the video, unsubscribe from the channel, and block the channel as well. Until next time, Sventhoon signing out. Bye.